I'm going to share with you 3 limiting blocks that might be stopping the growth of your occupational therapy business. Now, I was just at a networking event. I met these 2 business owners. One was a PT, one was an OT, and we had a huge conversation around business. And I want to share with you 3 limiting blocks that are literally stopping them from making money. So my name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist. And I, over 10 years ago, started my own therapy clinic. And 5 years ago, I started my online business. So I've been doing business for a while, and I've been hearing over and over. I think a lot of people who they want to start their own business, or they want to grow their own business, they want to grow their business to become more profitable, always ask me because they're really curious, like, but are you really making money in there? And the answer is yes, of course. Of course you can make money. I think I've defied all the stats so far. Like, the first 5 years you go out of business, boom, didn't. And then because apparently I wasn't busy enough, I decided to start another business, which is really where my passion lies, that the hand therapy secrets, like being able to reach more and more therapists from around the world and just sharing and showing what's possible for you as an occupational therapist. But I think a lot of people ask me, like, is it worth it? And I, outside of yes, it's worth it, and yes, you can make money, and yes, everything is possible. You just have to give yourself the permission. But what happens for a lot of us therapists is that we don't give ourselves the permission. Sometimes we have to get our permission from other people. But if you want, you can borrow my permission. You can use this for yourself if you want. But I'm going to share with you what I essentially told these 2 business owners who have been in business for a while, and they're still struggling. They're working full time in their business, so they're not actually able to work on their business. They're treating patients left and right. They're having a hard time going on vacation, taking vacation, finding staff to fill their space. And there's 3 limiting blocks that are stopping them. And I think that these are the same 3 limiting blocks that might be stopping you from whether you're starting a business or growing a business, right? So I wrote them down, and it's in neither order, but I'm going to talk about them in these 3 orders. One is I'm not good at marketing like you, Huang. 2 is I'm not specialized like you, Huang, because you're a certified hand therapist. People are going to pay you more. And number 3 is like a huge conversation, but no one in my area will pay those prices, Huang. And I was like, oh my God, I had all those blocks as well. And then I had to work on them. And here is a little bit of what our conversation was like. And, it was really funny. I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm sitting there. I'm going in this networking event, and I'm meeting all the my quote unquote competitors, but like we're all in business together. And I highly believe in a high tide raises all boats, right? So if we're all in business together and we all do the things that support each other so that we can stay in business, all like high tide raises all boats. It doesn't just raise one of our boats and the other sinks, but we all have to do the work, right, of getting better and getting better. And that's how we essentially can support each other without necessarily supporting each other. Because when you're in business, like you just don't have a lot of time, right? So I don't have a lot of time to go and talk to all these business owners. But I had this one event that I was invited to. I went and I met with one business owner that the business owners have come to me for therapy, have come to me for expertise and questions. And I'm happy to share, and I'm happy to help them, because when I first started, I remember, and they've been in business longer than me, but I encourage them, like, hey, join a program, get some help. It's like totally possible, and then, so I met with a couple of people that I've already known. Then I met some new people, and I was just about to leave, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot do these networking events. They're so hard for me. So I went and I sat at this table, and then I was like, oh, I see their name, and I was like, oh, you're a physical therapy business owner. I'm like, I'm an occupational therapy business owner. Like, what, where are you located? I'm located here. And so we started talking, and it was really awesome to get to know them. Here's some of our conversations. Marketing, like, so one of the things I was talking to them about is marketing, like how, like what I do. And they were like, oh, well, I'm not really good at marketing like you, and I was like, well, I wasn't good at marketing either. I wasn't good at showing up on camera either. But I started years ago, and it was through my start through looking like a fool was how I was able to get better. Like you can't get better until you put yourself out there. Like who here started out of OT school, PT school, knowing everything, knowing exactly how to mob a joint, knowing exactly how to provide manual therapy, knowing the exact exercises to pick. You didn't. You got better. You're willing to, be bad in order to become good, right? So you have to be willing to be bad at marketing in order to become good. And it was one of the conversations because they were like, "Oh my God, you're all over social media. You have these videos," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I started from. If you look way back, wait, don't look way back, don't look. But if you look way back, I was doing like food stuff in my clinic, talking about don't cut your thumbs or your tendons. Opening a jar of lychees to make lychee martinis, like." What was I thinking? But whatever. Like I was willing to be bad in order to get much better and be able to share a lot more about what I know and what I do. And so that's all marketing is. Is marketing is just sharing your perspective, getting more and more people to look at your stuff, look at your clinic, look at your company and say, "Hey, oh my God, they can potentially help me." Right. So I think it's a really huge limiting block for a lot of therapists. And I mean, I'm working with therapists inside my OT business course, and it's such a huge limiting block. It's like, oh, I tried 15 times and, to make 1 minute videos. And I was like, it's okay. Like I did that too. Delete, delete, delete. And one of the things is that you're better off doing is like rambling on and on and on and on. And then it's from your long form content that you get better at like doing like short form content, meaning you ramble on for a while and then you start to learn how to speak, learn how to share your perspective in a more consolidated way. But you got to start somewhere, and I would encourage you to start somewhere so that you can have a possibility of growing your OT business outside of just begging doctors for referrals, right? You gotta stop begging people. When you're desperate, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't look good. And let's be honest. There's a lot of doctors nowadays who, as a revenue stream, want to hire the therapist to work inside their business, and they pay you, and then they make money, right? And as a business, I totally understand that. But if you have a desire to be on your own, like you can't be begging those doctors for referrals because they're not going to send it to you. They're just not going to send it to you, right? Because they have their own therapist. And you just never know when the one doctor that you've been relying on, all of a sudden they're going to have their own therapist now and they've cut you out. Right. So you've got to think much bigger, much more about like what your business needs. And so marketing is one of the most important aspects of growing your business. You cannot skip it. You cannot just hand it off to other people to do. You have to have a pulse on it. So number one. And the other thing that they told me was like, oh, I'm not specialized like you. Oh, Huang, I'm not a certified hand therapist. So the OT was saying that, the PT was saying that. And I was like, there is something that you guys do that is really specialized and that you're really good at. And the PT ended up telling me that, she's been taking a lot of classes and she does a lot of things in terms of pelvic health. And I was like, oh my God, boom, you got pelvic health and you got a, OT that does upper extremity. You guys are like solid. You have like such a great foundation in your business because you've got somebody like the PT who's like, there's a lot of moms, a lot of women, at all ages who need help with their, pelvic floor, lower back pains. And, a lot of those things can become like neck and hand and arm issues, right? And you have an OT who does all this upper extremity stuff. And she's like, well, I'm not a CHD. I'm like, who gives a shit if you're a CHD or not? You've been doing this for X number of years. You've got to show people your value, your worth, because just because you're not a CHD doesn't mean oh gosh, you don't know anything. Of course you know stuff. I mean, am I a fan of becoming a CHD? I am, absolutely. I think there's a lot of value in it. Oh, she was pushing back and she was like, well, I'm too old now to become a CHT. And I was like, someone just sent me an email that said that she started studying in her 50s to get her CHT because it was well worth it because you still have like 10, 12, 15 years left in your career. Why not do it? Why not become a CHD? But that's not the conversation for today. The conversation for today is like that you don't have to have your CHD, but you can certainly show up and say that you specialize in something. I was like, dude, y'all people could be showing up and saying you specialize in something. These people are in my town, right? They're in my town. They are down the street from me, and I'm telling them this, right? And it's because I don't want to gatekeep what is possible because I do believe high tide raises all boats. They are no competitor of mine, no competitor, right? And I think that if they were to, do more in their area, it's going to help so many people, and it's going to show other people like, dude, you can, if you can keep your business alive and make money, you will be able to serve more people. And when you serve more people, people believe that therapy works because therapy does work, right? If you run out of money and you become resentful of your business because you're not making any money, then that's what you project. And then the people who are coming to you won't believe that therapy works. And then that's why more and more people are so skeptical about, oh, does therapy actually work? Whether you're a physical therapist or an occupational therapist, they don't always believe that therapy works. And it's because you're going to shitty places who can't provide the time and attention and really at the end of the day, the skills required to fix some of these problems that people have like in their bodies. So they don't believe that it's possible for them to live pain-free. And they don't believe it's possible for them to avoid injections and surgeries. There's absolutely times where injections and surgeries are required, but majority of the time, they don't need that. And they don't need that shit first, right? And so a limiting belief is that you don't have the letters. And it's because our profession holds up these people who have like the alphabet soup is what I call it. I don't believe I've taken tons of classes. I could put tons of letters behind my name, but I don't see the value in it. It doesn't mean nothing to patients, right? It means nothing to patients. If you want the alphabet soup behind your name, by all means, to me, OT/L means I'm an occupational therapist. I'm licensed in the state of Florida, and comma CHT, I'm a certified hand therapist, which just says that I specialize in a very particular type of injury or types of injuries, and that's it. But can I do more than freaking hands and arms? I can. And I have, and I do. But I have to believe that I'm worthy of that. I have to believe that I have those set of skills. And the thing is like you have to first believe that you have those skills, and then to tell people about it. You don't want to be the best kept secret. Nobody know about you, but you can fix everybody and their mother. You can't because you haven't told anybody, right? So that is a second limiting belief that's stopping OTs from starting their business, from growing their business, period. PTs as well, just because I was talking to a PT and an OT. And the third one is that no one in my area will pay those prices. And that comes down to money. And it really does. So much of it comes down to value. I shared with them what I charge my patients, right? I shared with them, I was like, if high tide raises all boats, if we could all be, if you're saying from a small business standpoint that you're premium, then your prices should note that you're premium. If you go out and you see a Louis Vuitton bag that sells for $5,000, right? And you go and you see it for $100. Don't you think that shit is fake? Don't you think that shit is fake? You 100% think that shit is fake. And so if your product says it is premium, if your product says that you are the best, then your prices should reflect that value. And when you cannot, and then it tells the consumer that maybe you're not as premium and you're not the best like you say you are because of that, right? And that's the truth, whether you want to believe it or not. Go look around in your life. So it takes time to consume. It takes time to think about it. And they were so embarrassed to tell me their prices that they didn't. And I'm not talking shit. They literally said that to me. I am so embarrassed by my prices. I don't want to tell you what they are. And I didn't push. I said, that's fine. You don't have to tell me, but here's what I charge. And I wish that you saw the value in yourself and in what you're capable of providing, that you would consider upping your charges so that you can keep your business running, right? So that you can feel so valued as a therapist, so you can spend that money on taking more courses, so that you could, be more, um, effective for your patients, right? So that you could hire more people into your business, right? If you're constantly the one, they're like, we're the only ones treating. We had hired an assistant or that and the other. But listen, when you have staff turnover, you have to have profit in your business in order to spend the money to hire the next person. When people quit, it costs money. When you hire, it costs money. Like, this is all doing business. And if you cannot think that people are willing to pay, then that's what you believe. If you believe that, then that's what you believe, and then that's all you will see. And you won't see that. So where you put your focus, like, there's lots of windows of opportunities, but if you are not looking for those windows, you won't see those opportunities, period. And we had this big discussion on it. It was a lot of fun. They were like, oh my God, I need coaching from you, Huang. And I was like, well, you can start watching my YouTube channels first. Right. Because I'm not here to fight that. Right. I'm not here to fight that. And I told them, I was like, you have to be willing to want to do that. And then you have to learn how to do it. Right. So I'm not here to fight anyone. Like, that's my personal stance. Like, I don't want people coming in and then fighting me along the way, because then you're going to think that my program doesn't work or the things don't work. And then I'm just like shoving things down your throat. Right. And it's like literally like patients, right? Patients, when they come in, they believe that you can help them. They'll stay and they'll do the work because it requires work. And I'm like, I'm not fighting you. I'm not fighting you on raising your rates. You have to believe, one, that you have the value, and that you have to believe that it works and that it can work for you. So first comes the belief, and then comes the action. Because if you don't believe, you won't do it. And they left possibly believing it. I was like, well, I do it. And if I do it, and I know all these other people who do it as well, that means that someone is doing it, and it's possible for you to do it. So just keep that in mind. And these are little limiting blocks. They're not little, they're actually quite big limiting blocks that you have to work on in order to then be humble enough to say, yes, I need help for it. Right. And then everything is possible. If you're asking yes or no questions, you might be asking the wrong questions, because your brain is automatically going to start saying no first, because it's a protective mechanism. But if you ask different questions, it might spark interest, and it might spark the opportunity for you to look for those windows of opportunities. And once you start looking for them, then you'll see what's possible, and then you'll actually do the work to make it possible for you. So that was a really big, really fun conversation that I had just a few days ago, that I wanted to share with you. And I think that those are some of the biggest limiting blocks that I see and hear over and over and over again. And it's so much of it has to do with value and with money, right? So much of it has to do with value, and so much of it has to do with money. So consider seeing that this is possible for you, and then consider maybe even getting some help for any of those areas that you see you may need help with, right? One of its marketing is totally possible for you. That is a limiting block that you might have, that says, oh, other people can do marketing, but not you. You just need to learn the skills. The second one is like, I'm not specialized. I bet you are, and you need some kind of outside perspective to help you see that you have specialties, and that you have this capacity to help people in a very specific way. Because then when you understand that, then your marketing can get better because you'll be able to share your perspective on that one thing that you do really well. And then charging your worth. We talk about charging your worth, but if one, you can't see your worth, and two, it's going to be really hard for you to charge that amount. Nobody is premium at the cheapest rates. Nobody. Not one business is premium, best in the market, best in service. That is also at the cheapest rates. And so that is a money block that you might be having. And it's definitely worth getting some help around so that one, you could stay in business and be profitable. You get paid, but also you're creating opportunities for other people that you get to hire and help them grow and develop. And then they'll help you, keep growing your business, and then everybody will live happily ever after. Does it take work? Absolutely, but it's totally possible for you. If you needed this video to give you permission, 100%, take what you want and leave what you don't need. My name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and I help OTs develop their clinical skills and their business skills. I'm going to leave the links below for you. Whatever you need, those links are there. If you want to get on my business email list, by all means, get on my email list. I send out videos and tips every Wednesday. And yeah, I look forward to helping you continue to grow your business skills. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I will talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in.